Dear forum participants, dear friends, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. VEB.RF, the main development institution of Russian Federation, is very pleased and honored to present today the project Green Finance Market Architecture in Russia. There are a number of reasons, of course, for the creation of the green finance market, and a number of principles which are supporting this establishment of the new green market. We conceive it to be with a global perspective, and also for its capacity to channel investment into sustainable development and in post-crisis recovery. You will hear from other speakers who will follow about the green finance market, about the reasons, the principles, and also about one of the most important issues that have been debated around the world today. And I'm talking about sustainable infrastructure as a long-term vision and strategy for a resilient recovery and an important support to the economic and social systems. One thing I would like to add is Russia has a huge potential for the development of clean energy and the production of low carbon goods. And this, in our view, should be used for the common good. We also believe that there is important to realize that the climate change is global in nature. And if this true, and I think it's unquestionable that this is true, we cannot solve this problem, not even approach the problem alone or at the national, not even the regional level. What we need today is a very strong, deep, and convinced multilateral cooperation. And that's why, at the same time, we have to remember that if we are going not to have this cooperation, the risk of the climate non-cooperation could result in significant losses for all sides. And as usual, those who will pay the highest price will be ordinary citizens. But let's start now with the chairman of VEB.RF, Igor Shuvalov, who will explain the main reasons for this very important endeavor from our development institution. Igor, the floor is yours.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. We use just one vehicle for everybody. We understand this is the rule, and welcome to our virtual stand for the project Green Finance Market Architecture in Russia. We are honored to have been selected alongside other outstanding initiatives to present a global perspective on transnational challenges, including climate change, social issues, and post-COVID recovery. Today, in the midst of unprecedented crisis, we are gathered in Paris Peace Forum to speak about what unites rather than separates us. We acknowledge past failures and lessons we need to learn in order to build a more sustainable and resilient future. Protecting the environment is a global challenge, and it cannot be done solely with national or regional instruments. Instead, we need to focus on real multilateral cooperation. Russia is part of Paris Agreement and is aware of the vital need to dramatically improve citizens' quality of life, and it's committed to implementing provisions of the Paris Agreement and to making a tangible contribution to global climate change action. Russia has launched the national project Ecology, a program which diverse goals for environmental protection. For example, by the year 2024, the aim is to recycle 36% of solid communal waste, decrease air pollution in urban areas by 20%, and replace 100% of deforested trees. Achieving all the goals set is expected to require 4 trillion rubles of investments, about 50 billion euros, by the year 2024. A significant part of these investments will be financed by the federal budget, but a much larger part is to be funded by private sources. To make these private investments possible, Russia will need a comprehensive and transparent green market. Today, we are at the beginning of this process. VEB.RF, as the key development institution in Russia, took the lead in creating green guidelines for to form a clear reference system for companies, investors, and other market participants. Acknowledging that many countries are ahead of us in creation of green market, we are taking special care to make sure that our guidelines are comparable and existing international ones. This green initiative continues VEB.RF work to promote the principles of responsible business conduct, as well as other best practices in sustainable development in line with the OECD, the UN, and other global institutions. To conclude, the environmental challenges that human race faces today will not be easy to solve. However, this process represents opportunities for resilient future growth, such as promoting green investments as core elements of sustainable development. And finally, environmental issues can be only addressed through international cooperation, and together we have the power to build a strong global system to protect our planet. Thank you very much for your attention. And I pass the computer back to Cesare Regalini.
Thank you very much, Chairman Shuvalov. Thank you for outlining the strategic views and lines about the green finance market, the sustainable development, and the possible channel of investment in sustainable development. Today, Russia is at the very beginning of creation of the green market architecture. And VEB, which has already in its portfolio almost 40% of the green commitments, is at the forefront of this process. And we are developing the national taxonomy for green project as a first step. Of course, for VEB, it's extremely important to be absolutely recognized and transparent for investors. Therefore, the standards of green projects being created, in the process to be created in Russia, by VEB will have to be harmonized with the existing international standards, like, for instance, those of ISMA, CBI, the European Union, the Chinese standards, and others, and as well to be guided by the UN Sustainable Development Goals. Of course, the point is that, as everybody is aware, we don't have one international taxonomy which is recognized internationally. And I think is one of the, let's say, of our duties will be to discuss overall about that and to find common grounds to have one taxonomy, because investors need stability, need certitudes, and they need to know, to recognize, and to accept the international standards. Of course, we also believe that projects in the field of ecology and climate are an excellent example of the opportunity for cooperation between all market participants, the government, institutional and private investors, experts, and civil society. Now, the green guidelines that we are working on consist of two parts: the methodological recommendations and the taxonomy. Last summer, we published a draft of the guidelines, which resulted from a number of discussions which took place in Russia in the previous months. And now we are actively developing the second draft of the taxonomy and the methodological recommendations. I also believe, and that's why we are very much engaged on this process of the green finance market in Russia, which is at the very beginning. It's still lagging behind many other countries, both in volume of green bonds issued, which is absolutely not significant relative to the size of the economy of the country, for instance. So it is important, I think, not only for Russia, but the entire world, that the system will work, that we could have an increasing number of green projects, and also the possibility for Russian companies and also joint ventures to issue green bonds to implement important green projects in Russia. Let me conclude saying a few words about the situation that we are going to face. We believe that unprecedented challenges posed by the green agenda should be addressed with an unprecedented cooperation among countries across the borders. The environmental and climate change that we face today are certainly very hard. However, they also represent important perspective and opportunities for creating a resilient future growth, where green investment takes center stage as a core element of sustainable development. We accumulated an incredible ecological debt. We cannot bequeath this debt to future generations. We have to start now to act fast and to act together. I now send on the video clip with a number of clean numbers, which will represent the situation, the ecological situation of Russia. And immediately after, the Deputy Chairman of VEB, Alexei Mirodnichenko, will explain and will comment on the video. What happened? What did you say?
You have two words.
It was illiterate. Why? In the two words. About what? I think that the last text was reduced by an interpreter to make it better in English. No, they are not different. The text, I know, the text is different, but it was put in a better English. When you finish, you give the floor to directly, and then she gives the floor.
Ladies and gentlemen, I welcome you at the Paris Peace Forum. My name is Alexei Mirodnichenko, and I'm chairman of VEB.RF Green Finance Committee. As we just saw in the video clip, that Russia has been making steps to the amelioration of the current ecological situation. And just several figures: annual total electricity generated by solar multiplied by 6 times over the past 5 years. Russia's total CO2 emissions dropped by 27% in the last 30 years, although the GDP production has grown. And also 86% of all rail activities 5 years ago in Russia were electric trains activities. And as this shows, the intention of Russia to achieve the targets of the Paris Agreement is very serious. But also, we should admit that Russia remains a very industrialized country, and we are aware of the strong need to improve the environmental conditions for the Russian citizens. And the results of this effort will have a positive effect both on Russian citizens and globally as well. Technically, when we speak about green finance, we understand that green finance is a set of instruments that allows to promote and support usage of the most safe and efficient technologies. Those help achieving same business objectives with low negative effects on environment in comparison with traditional approaches to achieving these objectives. Otherwise, we can say that green finance system serves the purpose of supporting green financial instruments and by stimulating green businesses and not punishing the businesses those use traditional approach. We assume that the green finance in Russia should stimulate usage of new technologies. And this would in turn create new jobs, new value, and will help to reduce to a certain extent dependence of the Russian economy on oil and gas, and will ensure that we are in line with global decarbonization trends. Obviously, green transitions don't happen overnight. Russian economy will have sometimes and need some time to adapt to the new normal. We also should explain why we decided to undertake the development of the Russian green standard. First of all, we need to link our green standards and to link the standard that will be used in Russia with the national ecology project that has been mentioned before. Second, we currently assume that not only the market, but also the government will provide certain support measures to help green projects and green technologies to be implemented. And obviously, if the government will provide support measures, these support measures should be linked and based on local regulation. Thirdly, we understand that Russia is in general more rule-based system, and we actually are making an attempt to specify and to give very specific criteria of what is green and what is not. But obviously, we do it by means of thorough review and to a certain extent compilation of popular and acknowledged international standards. The primary audience of taxonomy and methodology via development is businesses who wish to undergo a green transition. We wish to help them navigate a variety of options of what green projects can be. And it will also help them to receive the government support and to make this transition economically viable. Green bond investors will also benefit from the transparent and coherent green market as well. Russia recognizes its ecological problems and takes steps to address them. Russia entered the Paris Agreement with ambitious CO2 reduction targets, and a very good green track record since 1990 has been shown. Russian climate strategy is outlined in different government-level documents, including our national project Ecology, which is worth of 50 billion euro. National green finance taxonomy and guidelines follow and help to move in the same direction. Now we are at the beginning of the process, and we have a lot to get done. But this is an important work, not only for Russia, but for the global community as well. We believe in unprecedented mutual cooperation among all stakeholders to build a more resilient and green future. Thank you very much. And now let me pass the tribune to Mrs. Svetlana Yachevskaya, who leads our programs related to sustainable infrastructure and impact investments.
Alexey, thank you very much. I'm Svetlana Yachevskaya. I'm a deputy of chairman of VEB.RF and a member of board. Ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. You might be wondering what is VEB.RF and why VEB leads Green Project. As it was already said, VEB is a key development institution in Russia, and our mission is to stimulate growth of the Russian economy and attract private investment for that. However, its role goes far beyond financing. VEB as a development institution sees itself being the trendsetter of effective practices and ideas. Moreover, it aligns its policies and financial flows with the Sustainable Development Goals and Paris Agreement. In this regard, it is not surprising why VEB took the role of leader to develop the green guidelines in order to create a green financial market in Russia. We all see the proactive role of development banks in the green agenda. For example, various development institutions are part of technical expert group that develops the European taxonomy. The World Bank is the first one to start issuing green bonds, and many development banks in different countries play the leading role issuing green bonds and setting the green standards. VEB.RF is the first to lead the green market in Russia by issuing green bonds and creating the national green standards. Also, we are engaged in the implementation of quality infrastructure investment principles, which were endorsed by G20 leaders last summer. VEB.RF has developed a national methodology for assessment and certification of infrastructure projects. And we believe that the newly created system is to further develop infrastructure as an assets class. And this work was done in collaboration with international organizations and multilateral banks such as OECD, World Bank, and others. VEB is playing the lead role in setting the ESG standards, not only in terms of our requirements, but for Russian corporate sector as a whole and on the international arena. VEB.RF was also the first in starting social impact bonds. We have already created methodology and legal framework for the SIPS project in Russia. Apart from its own investments in sustainable projects, VEB.RF is engaged in attracting private capital with help of specialized financial instruments, for example, such as Project Finance Factory. Well, to sum up, development banks have a unique role to play in supporting the green agenda, creating opportunities to higher quality of life and the safe environmental. And thank you for opportunity to speak on such an important point today. And thank you very much for your attention. And I'm passing the floor to Cesare.
Well, thank you very much, Svetlana. I think that you perfectly outlined our conceptions, our view, and our strategic views on what we should do once the pandemic will be hopefully soon defeated. So thank you very much for following us as far. We have been trying to explain the reasons, the principles, the perspective of a green finance market in Russia. So the decarbonized future seems to be something that is not a point of discussion anymore. The main international organizations like European Union, important countries like China and others, they are heading to the decarbonized economy, and so it decarbonizes society. This will have a very strong implication for the future, also for the future of energetic relations among producers and consumers, and probably new balances should be found quickly in order to maintain a stability that everybody is looking for. I will keep the floor for a few minutes more because we have a few questions that we received even before the presentation, and I would like to address them. And of course, everybody who is interested can write to the bank without any particular problem. We will be more than happy to answer to them. You know, one of the the most common questions we receive is that will our taxonomy, the Russian taxonomy, will be very much different from the one of European Union, CBI, ICMA? Of course not. As I was saying before, and also the other speakers have been outlined, what we think is that investors must have as many certitude as possible. Today, green project definition are not yet globally harmonized, and I think that we have to work to establish them. We also think that we have to rely upon their criteria of green project, and so technically speaking, each green project sector or class from our taxonomy can be found in one or in another of the international taxonomies, which are generally accepted by international and domestic investors. Of course, since our project, our taxonomy is very close, very much in line of those international says, why to have a Russian taxonomy? It's very simple, because the because a national green finance system normally consists of two parts. One is the taxonomy, which indicates what is green and what is not, and the other one, they are the government support measures. In Russia, government support measures cannot be linked to documents which are developed by foreign countries. So we need a national taxonomy. And of course, another question that we received, it's I think very appropriate, is that do you think that the Russian taxonomy will be science-based? Of course, we believe that the action against climate change and the protection of environment does not have any other approach than the one science-based. So while we remain to your disposals to answer to all the questions, let me conclude and thank you again, and for being with us and to show such curiosity and interest about this new perspective for green market in Russia. I think that there will be plenty of opportunities for Russian businessmen and international businessmen, and for international cooperation. And international cooperation is exactly what we need more to face these turbulent times and the unprecedented challenges. So I thank you very much on behalf of VEB.RF, and I wish to the forum participant all the success in their activities. Thank you very much.